Hey guys, it's time for a long overdue Maple update. To catch you up, if you missed my last video, Maple is a 6-year-old pony mare. She's about 14-1-ish, I think, when I measured. And I found her on Craigslist a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. And she is here as a little project. And I'm really enjoying her so far, and I cannot wait to show you guys everything she's learned and everything she's working on. When she came to me, she was very fearful of humans and just very skeptical about everything, did not want to be caught, very scared of the halter, and obviously you can see by the very unconcerned look on her face, we've pretty much gotten past that. She's learned that I'm food lady and everything that humans do are actually pretty interesting instead of scary. She's a very quick learner. I'm really proud of how far she's come. As you'll see in this video, she is working on gaining some weight, so no, this is not how she's supposed to look. When she came to me, she was a little bit underweight. I like my horses to be a little chunky, especially as they're going into work. So she is definitely working on that and has some progress to make. So keep that in mind with your comments, please. But here she is, like I said, she was just a little bit nervous of humans, so every day I make sure to just handle her and get her comfortable with my hands on her and just moving around her. If you know me, you know I'm a very loud, vibrant person, so she's gonna get used to this very quickly, especially if she's gonna be a little kid's pony one day, hopefully. She's very smart and safe, so that's my goal for her. But I want her to be comfortable with humans and their noises and all of the weird things that we do. So I just rub all over her and make sure she knows that me jumping around and everything else is not a big deal.
Good girl.
This next part here, you'll see my introduction to body language with her. And in my perspective, with everything I do with my horses, body language is the #1 foundation piece that I consider part of learning experiences every single day with every horse. I think it comes from my background and my love for showmanship when I used to show it. And I don't think every horse needs to be super talented at showmanship, and it doesn't need to be, you know, a showing thing, but I think it is a really great tool for groundwork and starting everything, whether that be under saddle work, problem horses, whatever. I think having that understanding and respect on the ground is huge. And I really like to consider it as just learning each other's language, because we may not speak the same spoken language, but we both communicate to each other through body language. So if I'm gonna learn her body language, I'm trying to communicate my body language to her and translate it. So I'm trying to make everything as easy for her to understand as possible, because I, in turn, want her to express herself through her body language so I can read her a little bit better. So really, this is just us getting to know each other. And through that body language, we start learning to lunge. So when I first asked her to lunge when she first came here, unfortunately I don't have any video of that, but she just ran to the rail of the round pen and started running out of fear. Obviously, she was at some point chased on the lunge line, and that was what she interpreted lunging as, was just being chased. And that is not at all what I want her to perceive that as. I want her to think about lunging as, again, another way of us communicating and getting in sync and learning each other's body language. You'll hear me say body language quite a bit, especially with this mare. So once we establish that and we start learning the word whoa, and she starts understanding that when I do a certain thing, it means stop or look at me or whatever. There's a lot of things that we were learning in this little session. We go to the larger rope, which is the actual lunge line instead of a lead line. And she gets to trot a little bit, which that's perfectly fine. If she's a little bit nervous, she can trot it out, whatever she feels is comfortable. And then she calms back down. I reward that. She tunes out for a minute. I check her back in. She does it correctly, and I reward. This clip right here was huge. I had only had her maybe like a week or two at this point, and I was working with her in the round pen, and I had a tarp like next to the round pen for whatever reason, and I was like, I want to try something. So I pulled the tarp out, and this is when I realized how false her advertisement was. So she was sold to me as spooky and, you know, just not, I don't know, just spooky and not all there, and just like, you know, crazy Craigslist red pony mare, you know? And this is when I realized she's not spooky at all, actually. She's extremely brave and intelligent. She was just fearful and concerned about what humans were going to do. She didn't understand humans. She was not given the proper communication techniques.
I wonder if she was just
or
like
opportunity to understand humans. She was just unfortunately made to be afraid or concerned about them. And I don't think it was anything intentional that anyone did to her. I think it was just the way it was communicated was not her style.
Oh God.
It happened. It's not a big deal. It's fixable. But she really, really blew me away with this. Diesel, in comparison, my big 18-hand gelding, would absolutely poop himself at the thought of a tarp. Just the thought of it. Like, one time he almost just completely unalived himself over a grocery bag. And that's just him. Like, he's just a little nutcase, but I love him to death. But this mare is just, this is just a personality trait of her. She is so sturdy-minded and just like a thinker. I mean, look at her. She's fantastic. So impressed. I was just so blown away. And the more I asked of her, she was just like, okay, whatever. This is no big deal. Just incredible.
What a good girl.
And here again, licking and chewing the whole time. She keeps looking back at me to ask what's going on, which I really, really liked. Like, she was tuning in with me to see what was going on and making sure she was doing everything right. Instead of just being overly concerned about her surroundings, she was keeping me in mind. My boyfriend was working on a four-wheeler in the barn while I was working on getting the saddle and everything on her and getting her comfortable with it. And we just took the opportunity. We make a lot of noise around here. So here, one of the other staples that I work on with her is groundwork, or ground tying rather, excuse me. So before I start working on any sort of cross tie, single tie, anything like that, I want to make sure they know the expectation is to stand still, and that is, first of all, a safety thing. Second of all, I want her to look to me for the answers. So when she's wondering what she should do, she can look to me and I'll explain it to her, and that is not a big deal. If I were to just walk her up to a set of cross ties with her having never seen them before, she's going to be overly concerned with what the heck is attached to her face and be flustered with that and concerned with that, when I want her to be comfortable with the grooming process and not one to run away and thinking about getting out of a situation, because that is just an accident waiting to happen if she's trying to get out of a situation but she's tied in place. So I want her to be comfortable with standing in the aisleway and being groomed and loved on, and then we'll work on tying. Basics first and then build on that. Here you can see her biggest flaw that I can't even call it a flaw, her biggest worry that I've come across so far is sprays. She's just very, very nervous about them, so I let her know she can move around and that's okay, and they're not going to kill her, and then I reward. She's come a long, long way with that. And then we work a little bit on lunging with the saddle. She's not concerned about the saddle at all. This is a horrible, horrible video. I am so sorry. I lost a lot of my videos. I don't know what happened to them. I apologize. And here was such a sweet moment. This was one of the first times she actually approached me on her own. And I'll explain for a minute why she is in the round pen. Or explain that a little bit later in the video. But this was so, so big. It meant the world to me that she came to me. In this here, you'll see me start to introduce the cross ties. So I did introduce single tying first, and that was just to a pole or a post, because I want her, obviously we're going to start with basics, so I want to start with one tie and then move up to two, essentially. And please keep in mind that all of these videos are over a couple weeks time span. I just really am horrible at keeping YouTube updated. So this is a collection over a couple of weeks. This is not all in one day or all in 1 week. This is slowly building upon each other every single day. Sometimes I'll work with her once a day, twice a day, whatever we're working on that day. I like to do it in short little spurts like you see here. I just groomed her really quickly. in the cross ties and left it at that, left it at a good experience. And here, with the saddle on, we're reestablishing what we've learned before to make her comfortable because she already knows what to do here. So if she's feeling concerned or worried or doubtful, we're going to go back to what we know. So she's really, really confident in working off body language. So we're going to start with that. And then here, I have a lead rope on either side of her halter, and I'm getting her used to pressure on her face. And the goal here is I want her to give me her face and bend her neck without moving her body. So when she's confused, she has a tendency to just lock up her body and not pay attention to anything. She doesn't act out, but she just locks up out of fear. So I want her to respond like this. She did it perfectly right here. So she gave me her face and relaxed her neck and gave to that pressure. Reward, release, go to the other side, do the exact same thing. She once again did it perfectly. So then I release and call that exercise quits. Okay, so not only do I absolutely suck at recording, I'm gonna use this cute little new brush I got from my saddle box delivery. Here's Miss Maple. Not only do I suck at actually recording stuff, the weather has been atrocious the past week or so, so we haven't been able to do much, unfortunately. But Miss Maple here has been putting on weight. Doesn't look like in this video because she's standing weird, but that's okay. But the past week or so, she's been doing really, really great about approaching me every single time I go out to catch her and not getting any issues or any fear signs about the halter. She actually really likes the halter because it always means interaction and fun times and play times. And she's really, really good about giving me release responses and positive responses. Ooh. And she's got a lot less jumpy. So we are going to get back to that with, she's also really disgusting. She is like a little piggy horse. Anyways, we're gonna get back to that and finally let her turn out with the herd. The only reason I have not done this so far, well, first of all, I wanted to get to know her, to know which group of horses she would get along best with, not trying to get anybody hurt. But she's also been by herself in a small pen since I've had her because she was so fearful of humans that I was worried about not being able to catch her, and that is not an issue I want to have. Not only do I want to have to, corner her and make that a scary experience getting her out of the big pasture, but I don't want to create a situation out of what shouldn't be a situation. So we made sure that we were friends before we do this, and I know she's gonna be so excited because she really loves this group of horses. She talks to them over the fence all the time. They've all met before, and we recently had a horse go home for the holidays. One of our lovely, lovely boarders, she comes here during the school season, and then she goes home for the holidays, so Maple's gonna go in his spot for now. I know. You have so much hair, baby girl. But she's starting to really enjoy grooming time and everything, and I'm really, really enjoying her. She's definitely a thinker. She's definitely a smart little booger of a mare, so we're gonna see how she likes turnout. That being said, I am going to leave a breakaway halter on her temporarily, probably just for the day or so, just in case we do have any emergency situations where I need to remove her quickly, or need to grab her or whatever. For whatever reason, I like to be prepared as possible, but the biggest issue we're gonna have is getting this to fit her, because this is horse size and she's itty bitty, so we'll see. It might be a little baggy, but like I said, it's breakaway. If something happens, she'll be fine. Yeah. You gotta be safe, okay? Make good choices. Another cookie? You're such a good girl. Good. Okay, go make good choices. I'm proud of you. Another one? You're such a good girl. Yes, you are. Look, all your friends are waiting. There you go. She's so excited. Oh! Just a brief intermission to say I just realized that I took the breakaway halter off of her. So what was the I don't understand myself. She's so uncoordinated. Oh goodness, here we go. Hey, look at all my open space. Really hope Elliot's kind to her. And there's a kitten behind me. What are you doing? Here goes Elliot to start mischief. Yep. Wow. What is that? In this clip, we are back in the round pen, and you'll see I like to point in the direction that I want the horse to go, and that's a big, clear sign that she can pay attention to. Again, back to body language. So we're back in the round pen. I like to switch up where we do work. Also, the arena is probably flooded this day, is my guess. Guessing by the rain boots and the wet footing. But so there we work on stopping and paying attention to body language instead of completely tuning out. I don't want the horse looking out of the round pen the whole time we're lunging. That completely defeats the purpose of lunging. In my opinion, lunging, for the most part, is not to run around. For some horses, like Diesel, he just needs to get a couple bucks out. But for her, she's not very high energy. I just want to get her paying attention. Right there, she did it perfectly. And she let out a little poop, which is okay. But I really want to just focus on getting her attention. So when I say whoa and bend down and look at her hip, I want her to turn to me, which she did perfectly right there. And the purpose of this is not only to get her paying attention to me, but also to start to establish the word whoa, which in my practice is, again, one of the foundation things that I consider most important. If the horse does not know the word whoa on the ground, they're not going to know it when you're yelling at them to stop under saddle when they're running away. And to add to that, vocal and body language is one of the things that you can spend countless hours working on the ground, and it communicates into the saddle beautifully. Like if I relied on my hands to stop a horse, how do I teach that other than saddle time when it comes down to it? Whereas if they are very confident with the word whoa and hearing cues, they're more likely to be able to communicate that into under saddle cues. Now here I'm just doing the exact same thing I did before, just asking her to bend her head and her neck and get used to bit pressure. I introduced the bridle a little bit here. Get used to bit pressure so it's not a scary thing when I climb up in the saddle. And not a big deal. And there she did it perfectly. She got a little bit stiff at the end. Perfectly. And release. Thank you guys so much for watching this update on Maple, and hopefully I will have much more for you soon. And please keep in mind as you comment that this is just me sharing my journey with this horse specifically. This is not me giving training advice for your horse. This is not me telling you what to do. This is just our journey so I can document it and see the wonderful horse she becomes.